The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyromedia Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
I love that song.
Coming in with all that. You trying to mess people up tonight.
Listen. Tonight has been this week has been really good so far. I have to say this week has been really it's been weaking. You know, I'm not gonna say it's been, all butterflies and unicorns, but it's been a really good week so far.
So wait, so you mean like today was a good day in your Ice Cube voice, or last week since we saw each other last was good?
Since we last seen each other has been good. Yes.
What's been going on?
Just growth and development, adjusting in my new space, and purposefully changing what I don't like. On purpose, not I don't want to grow out of this. Some stuff you just need to change. Okay. I think I know I've said this to you before, but I think we were talking about this last week. Through my bout with depression, I had picked up a few habits that I didn't like. One of them was how I dressed. Okay. Now I've never been like a fashionista or whatever you call it for a guy. I've never been a fashion dude, but I had my uncle sat me down and he was like, Walter, you're supposed to not look like what you've been through. My uncle sat me down. He said, you're not supposed to look like what you've been through, but bitch, you look like everything you done been through.
You look
right. So I looked at it in the moment, I looked at him and I was like, F you. Me and my uncle talk like this, just so you all know. I was like, F you, don't come for me like that. And, we joked back and forth, but he was like, no, really, nephew, you look like what you've been through. It's time to change. And so I have been purposefully, getting back to dressing up, not leaving the house. Now, if you catch me around my house, I'm going to have on house shorts and a tank top. I'm definitely going to have on house shorts and a tank top. But you're not going to catch me in that at the grocery store, not in 2023. Walter has definitely going back. That's one thing I'm going back to. Well, I don't want to say back because it's a new. I'm open to new looks and different things. I'm definitely going. I'm improving in that area. That's the verbiage.
So you're leaning more towards being a fashionista now.
Hey, as much as I can. I don't have the eye for it, but yeah, we can do that. We could definitely say that. I just don't have the eye for it. Like,
what helps? Like Google. You Google people whose styles that you like and look at the pieces that they put together. Most people are styled, as we know. So they don't have an eye either. They just have money to pay people to style. But yeah, just, that's your cheat code right there. Google
Absolutely.
people.
Absolutely. You know who has an eye? That damn Kwame. Have you I know he's just I don't want to say just, but he's the producer on this show. But y'all Kwame definitely has an eye for just fashion, design, all of it all together. Anyway, yeah, but that's enough about Kwame.
Well, that's who you know why you at the store. Hey, Kwame, look.
Right.
I'm in the store right now, and I'm looking at a few things, okay? Let me FaceTime you. That's what you do.
Okay. How have you been, Manal?
Oh man. You know what? It started out really shitty. Seriously. Okay. I think kind of like how you said, just learning more about yourself and making the conscious decision to grow and change. I fashioned myself to be a pretty good communicator, and communication being a cornerstone to my life and existence. But something that I have learned just this past week is that I don't communicate as great as I thought I did. And so I started out just being really defensive, like, oh no, I can communicate. I am a great communicator.
Right.
But something that I learned is there's time and place. And with the way that my life is being stretched right now, professionally, and also personally, I'm learning that I could communicate great for the levels that I've been on. But I have to stretch to communicate at the level that I'm at and the levels that I'm getting to. So it's just that growth. And I really don't like to say be humbled. I hate that word. But I had to, I really do. But I had to become more self-aware as to, again, who I am growing into and what that person requires at that level. Right. And so I have to, eat a little bit of truth pie on this week and consciously make changes, and I'm the kind of person that likes to invite people in to my change. So I like those anchors, like, all right, look, if you see me slipping in this area, pull my coattail, so I have my little anchors that I set up over this past week. And so I am happy to be critiqued, and I'm happy to be checked, because there's a person that I see myself being, and I don't want to limit myself.
Absolutely.
To grow and change.
Absolutely. So, girl, I love talking to you, because see, when we're talking about this, I realize, and this goes along with what we're talking about tonight, you're just so good at that. Shout out to you, Manal. Yes.
The way the moving,
Yeah, God. But I found out, right. I agree with Uncle Kai right there. And I do depend on who doing the checking and the critiquing, because some people.
No, see, I invited. See how I said it?
Yes,
I set my anchors. And I invited certain people. see what it is? I've already acknowledged you. I know who you are. I know what you're bringing, and I know what you bring to my life.
Right.
But everybody else can have several seats.
I am definitely down with that, because some people can have a nice tall glass of shut the whole complete hell up. Now, this is so important, because in my life, I realized that I valued the opinion of people I probably should not have valued. I'm going to take that word "probably" out of there and just say I should not have valued their opinion as high and their regard for me as high. I spent a large portion of my life vying for the acceptance of people and kind of ignoring the people that really loved me. Okay, so I spent a large part of my life trying to get in good with a certain crowd of people. Right?
Yeah.
Who like me, think I'm anointed, and please understand, I'm not attacking the church. This is just me talking about my life. That's where I came from. Like me, think I'm anointed, think I can sing, think I'm creative, like my creation, like my choices. Then there was people that's like, boy, we love you down regardless. Just, do you. And I'd be like, I would, not consciously, but subconsciously, I would just be like, okay, but y'all cool, but I want to be over here. And I have to do some major adjusting as far as that is concerned, because there was a lot of self-hate that developed, that undercurrent of self-hate. And then that self-rejection also set in, now I ain't no PhD, so this ain't me diagnosing myself. This is just me talking shit. you know. A lot of self-rejection and self-hate and self-frustration about stuff that I really shouldn't even been frustrated about sat up
Yeah.
in me because I couldn't get over here with them. But, you know, once I adjusted my sight, I realized I should be focusing more over here with them that really rock with me and love me. And hey, my baby daddy here. Um, I should more so rock with those people that rock with me rather than trying to get in with people who don't necessarily rock with me. You know, I had to learn that the hard way.
Absolutely. Like, but you know what? If we think about the way, I'm gonna say we were raised. If you weren't in this boat, please feel free to hop out. But I feel like the way we were raised, it never really forced us to go inward, look at ourselves, acknowledge who we are, appreciate who we are, and celebrate who we are. Our upbringing was all about change and fix and fit and become this perfect thing, right?
Yes,
and
yes.
One of the things that I, as you were even talking, one of the things that I acknowledge about Jesus was that Jesus legit did not ask for any validation from anybody else.
Period.
Like, that pure being. That pure being was like, I already know I'm here. I already know who sent me. And even down to my mama and daddy, y'all can't step to the side because I'm pretty clear about who I am and where I'm going. And so imagine if we raised our kids to actually turn inward, be in tune with themselves, celebrate themselves, love themselves, who those individuals will be and what they would be able to accomplish sooner. Because how old was Jesus when he was up in the church schooling them scribes and Pharisees?
11.
12?
Well, somewhere around there, yeah.
So imagine who our kids could be, right? Imagine who we could have been. And so, like, just really leaning into that reality that I am perfectly crafted in this body, in this mind, at this time. And I don't need to ask anybody for permission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can be more than one thing. By the way, if you're watching this video and you find value in anything that is being said, please feel free to click that like button and subscribe to this channel, the Pyromedianetwork, where you can receive and enjoy all things entertainment. Today we're talking about self-love and acceptance. You can be more than one thing. You sent me this meme earlier this week, and I said I got to incorporate this. We got to talk about this. Kwame, can you put that one meme up that just says, you know, I'm sexy, I'm all of this, I'm bad, I'm every woman plus 3, you know,
Come on.
I'm a savage squared, you know, like. So this one says right here, you are sexual, you're soulful, you're emotional, you're spiritual, you're magical. You're both of the light and the dark. You're human. Don't deny any aspect of who you are. A healthy soul is a whole soul. Look at me finish on my hook on phonics.
That last sentence, though. A
healthy soul
is a whole soul. Come on,
is
church.
a soul that knows how to hold. That's right. Yes. Is a whole soul. I like this. I like this because it allows me to be more than just one person. And I often say here recently, I found myself saying that you cannot allow people to Coke bottle you into one thing and make you exist in one space and try to say this is all you are and this is what you're supposed to do.
Can I input some language there?
Absolutely. Translate me, baby.
It's not that I have the capacity to be multiple people. It's I have the capacity to be my full being.
I love it.
because my full being has different levels, compartments, dimensions, right? I can show up in so many different ways just within my own person because I'm created that way.
Yes. Yeah.
And like how this even came up, no joke. So like most of my circle, we are social workers, we're in the medical field, we're teachers. So one of the biggest challenges of being just specifically an educator is that we are not allowed to be sexual beings and work with kids. Like in the public arena, we have to act like we are not sexual beings because we work with children. And so one of the biggest challenges in my life is being me, right? Like I love to talk about sex. I love talking about sexuality. I love talking about,
me too.
I love talking about connection between people. And so one of my biggest challenges was trying to find a way to exist in this world, being a person who wants to work hands-on with kids for the rest of my life and service families in that area and still write books on erotica and still host parties where we talk about different types of sex toys and still have a certification for sex therapy and work with couples. Like, how can this one person, me, be able to do both of those things and do them well and be received in both of those spaces? And so it took me going through all of the shit that I went through these last 4 years to really peel off that I would say that mindset of performance, that mindset of fitting into other people's molds, and just really accepting my full self to say that I'm going to exist in both of these spaces, whether the public is comfortable or not.
Right.
You're going to meet me, you're going to see me, and I'm not turning anything down or off. You know, because this is who I have been created to be. And so I believe that if you have a thirst and a passion for anything, that's what was given to you. And so I'm not turning a thing down. I'm going to talk about sex over here. And then I'm also talk to you, get your kid together with their behavior and all of that over here. And they're both going to be relevant and powerful.
So I like what you're saying, because some people because I like to talk about sex too. If you follow me, you know I like to talk about sex. I like to talk about healthy sex, how we can have healthy sex, how you can own your sexuality. Why do I like to talk about that so much? Because for a long time, I did not own my sexuality. I'm not talking about the fact that I like men. I'm talking about I felt nasty for wanting to be freaky with somebody I wasn't necessarily married to, right? You know, I was always taught that was a no-no. But to be honest, sometimes you want something different, you know?
But even within marriage, like there's still that unpredictability in marriage.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. Bringing in a third person, or bringing in toys, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, or just trying a new position.
Right. How about you eat his
dirty
ass?
To each other.
Right. Put his legs in the air and eat his ass. Hallelujah.
Hey, what she said.
But what happens when we talk about those things, a lot of people feel like we lose our ability to discern the appropriate time and space, right?
Yeah.
So you got people wondering if I'm gonna get up in church and say some, disrespectful, irreverent things. And no, I wouldn't do that. I know that this is not the time and the space for this. I know when I can go there and when I can't. Me being comfortable with certain things does not mean that I'm checking my intelligence and my ability to perform as an adult at the door. That's just not the case.
And like, what sense does that make when a person can be sexually involved with a partner, whether they are married, common law, just having a great time out in these streets, and be a parent? So in that context, that person can exist in both of those relationships. But then professionally, we limit people. That doesn't make sense, again, to the whole person.
Right. I constantly run, so people will encounter me in an inspirational space.
We got you, girl.
Absolutely. People will encounter me in an inspirational space. and they'll get this vibe of me. Oh, he is so encouraging and he is so positive. And in general, I am positive and I am encouraging. But I think I shared with you a while ago, I have become comfortable in my I need to check a bitch spirit. Every now and then somebody tries it and they need to be checked and put into their place, right? Because now people say you act out of character. Well, now you're acting outside of your lane, and I now have to be CHP, and I have to make sure you don't cross these lines. These are not the lines you cross.
But that's the thing. You're not even acting outside of character. You're acting within the context of a person that you can be.
Absolutely. And so I like this conversation because it frees the individual to be totally who they are, But then here's the thing. Once I realized I was free to be me, I had to accept who I was.
Yeah.
Can I get that second graphic? The hardest challenge is being yourself in a world where everyone else is trying to make you be somebody else.
Yeah.
My mom constantly tells me, "Oh, we prayed you into the pulpit. Oh, we prayed that you would become a pastor." And I'm like, "Well, damn, y'all didn't give me a choice in the matter." I mean, what if I wanted to be a stripper? Couldn't you envision all of this luscious, gushy, just all on? No, nah. But
it's like a lot of it. I like the visual and the feel.
But absolutely, like. And what happens when you allow other people's expectation or their desire for you, when you allow that to shape your life, you'll only access those resources. You're only going to take those opportunities. You're only going to have confidence in the areas that gear you more towards what this person or what these people say you should be. But when you become free, right, you challenge yourself to say, okay, I don't have to be a preacher, or I can be a preacher, but I also want to be I also want to be a dancer. I also want to be a comedian. I also want to be a singer. I also, I sure want to be a social worker, but I also want to be a podcaster, but my podcast doesn't have to be about social work. Now I understand the dynamics of branding and, I understand those dynamics. I'm not trying to talk anyone out of those things. What I'm trying to get us to understand is that you have to do the work so that you just accept, like we've been saying, the totality of who you are. Insecurity is a silent killer of greatness.
Like Walter. Mm-hmm. Now, you grew up reading them scriptures like I grew up reading them scriptures.
Yeah, them scriptures.
Them scriptures. And one of the things that we would always say is, I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yes.
Remember that one? And then the other one of being made in God's image.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And his likeness.
Those two things. So imagine you being washed over in this as a child, right? Mm-hmm. You're hearing it your whole life. But in the same breath, your family is trying to edit you.
Right.
Because you're on their nerves. And then you go to school, and in that environment, they also edit you because they want to be comfortable around you. Right. And one of the things in the behavioral world that we say is socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. That is a phrase that we use, socially acceptable. Mm-hmm. So your whole life is now driven towards becoming socially acceptable. Not the fullness of who you are.
Right.
Not the world bending to your person and your being. Mm-hmm. But you are being edited and altered from the time you are born by everybody around you. And so one of the challenges that we have as adults is just sitting with ourselves and taking off everything that everyone ever put on us, or recovering the things that people took from us. And so anyone who like lives life with me, they know Manal is wacky. Well, wacky. I dive down a little bit for this. But any given day, you will see me in a tutu, some long socks that have all kind of colors and faces on it. And my hair is whatever color I choose it to be. And so it is one of those things that my parents didn't understand. Right? Because it doesn't fit anywhere in their picture of who their child was supposed to be, what will be acceptable amongst their friends, what will be acceptable in church as a minister, right? So none of that fit, but I have always loved glitter. I've always loved bright colors. I've always loved to be wacky, right? And so one of the things that I had to reach into was that child, that person, before I said I'm going to fit into what my parents want me to fit in as, or what the people at school think I should fit in as. I had to go back before all of that editing and pick up that girl. And me as a woman marrying that girl to now my present person, when I tell you the level of freedom that I have walking through this world, it is a beautiful thing. And then when I just show up as me, the chains that break on other people.
Break every chain.
All because Siri has things to say. All because I decided to show up as me. In my awkwardness, in my wackiness, in my uncomfortableness, in my vibrant, childlike way of being. I now get to see other people become just as free and just as vocal.
I love it. You become like a midwife.
Come on.
Of course. Yeah, God. He peeks out every now and then. But I love what you're saying. Now I have a question. We're gonna go to commercial break before you answer. Okay. Because now what I'm hearing, what you're saying, socially acceptable. Okay. That has been one of the most damaging things for me in my life, being socially acceptable. That's not socially acceptable. And of course, I get we don't want to do things that are unruly and, though of that nature, but socially acceptable really played a large part from my experience in respectability politics. You have to have this like this, otherwise you're not going to be accepted. You're not going to be respected. I want to ask you, what are some things that we can do? And we're going to go to commercial break before you answer. What are some things that we can do to be ourselves, be creative? Because I too like crazy colors. I too like, I like to put it out there. As far as my looks and the different things that I do, if you follow me on social media, you may see some pictures with my locks, braided up. You may see it because that's just how I felt that day. What are some things that we can do to be creatively who we are and still exist in a world that demands and mandates respectability politics in us? I want you to answer that when we return. At this time, we do want you to pay attention to the commercials because there's going to be some great information and some amazing things coming up. Go ahead and take us away, Kwame.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio, Your story, our station.
Go ahead, Kwame. I'm telling you, the music alone. Do you hear me? The music alone during the commercial break sets me off, all the way off. Now I do have a question. They said Bullet in Flight is the #1 progressive Christian radio, and that they play all kind of inspirational music from each genre. I have a song that inspires and motivates people to have sex in the rain. Do you think they would?
You know, I feel like they should have a love segment. They should have a love segment.
You don't think that they would play my Christian song about having godly sex in the rain? No? Okay, I didn't think so.
Well, with 2 or 3 are gathered, there he is.
Oh my God. So Uncle Kai, you gotta go to Spotify. I have a song out, Sex in the Rain. It's on me. And it's Sex in the Rain. You want to hear it? It goes like this. Just one. No. No. But yeah, I that's my favorite song to perform. And then I have to realize I'd be so like annoyed because when I go places, thank you, Kwame, I be having to realize I be having to realize people don't know my song because I be like, let's do Sex in the Rain. They're like, bruh, they want you to do covers. I'm gonna cover Sex in the Rain, bruh. All right. So before we went to break, we talked about learning, or I asked you, what can we do to be genuinely who we are and exist in a world that kind of promotes and perpetuates and mandates respectability politics. And I'm going to say it like this, and you can edit it, in your answer. But it's almost like the closer to white we are, the more acceptable we are in terms of success, in terms of professional, decor. The more we embrace our Blackness. And let's be clear, okay, when we start talking about our African heritage, our Blackness, the Pan-African experience, color, that's us. These colors, these vibrant colors, these live colors, that red, that beautiful red behind our sister there, that's us. Okay. Yes, there it is. That's us. And sometimes I feel like we have to dial and turn who we are down in order to exist in a world that kind of says you have to be close to white in order to be right. How can we become comfortable in being who we are in these spaces?
So I want to say, first and foremost, every other culture and ethnicity, even though we say this, we don't really believe this and live this, but every other culture and ethnicity that exist in this world pull from us culturally.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if we just stand on that foundation and say, if everybody else is trying to be like us, why don't I just try to be like us?
Period.
Right. Be myself. Mm-hmm. So that's number one when we're talking about culture and ethnicity. But just overcoming that idea of wanting to fit into a mold. One thing for sure is a way to challenge yourself is have a day of yes.
Okay.
As long as your yes is not, of course, hurting people, you are not
offensive.
You are not, yes, being offensive to people, in a sense that you are, damaging their emotions or their person. Your day of yes is anything that comes to your mind. Don't throw it out. Tell yourself yes. When you go to your closet and you start to get ready for that day and you want to put on that one outfit that's real cool, right? You love that outfit, but you're going someplace where you feel like you won't be accepted, put that outfit on. Okay. Because that is your spirit speaking to you first, right? Your spirit said, choose the red shirt with the blue polka dots. And you said, no, because I'm a stand out. No, because no one else is going to be dressed like this. No, because no one's going to take me seriously, right? All of those things that you've been taught. When in all actuality, you put on that shirt and you go out into that space, you're going to be attractive. You're going to stand out. Yes, you're going to be different, but that means that you're going to be, that who you are is going to be magnified.
Right.
Who you are going to be salacious and is going to be energized and is going to then energize the space, right? And so you don't know who God is wanting you to connect with in that space through that shirt,
right?
Just through the shirt. And so if you think about that day of yes, think about it as an opportunity for spirit to move before you move.
I love it. I love it. You used to talk to me a little bit briefly about being a conduit for the spirit, allowing the spirit to move through you and to other people. Because in my experience, it has always been like, you want God to be able to move through you. Tell the Lord yes. Come on and tell the Lord yes. And yes meant being over religious.
Yeah.
And religiously and spiritually offensive to people. That was your yes,
Yeah.
Whereas when I begin to free myself from the confines of religion, my yes is, like you said, sometimes I realize you being yourself can be healing to someone who's struggling with their insecurity and who's struggling with I have been around so many people that are just like, once they get to know me, I guess I'm a Sour Patch Kid. When you meet me first, I'm sour. Then once you get to know me, I'm sweet, and they just love me and they hug me too much.
Sweet, okay? Instant.
But when they first meet me, they be like, "Oh, he bougie," or like, just a lot of people don't realize I used to smile a lot more before I had my stroke. But since this side of my face doesn't work, I think it would be weird just walking around all day
looking like you good at thug.
Right. So I'll do my best to try to keep my face as balanced as possible. It's hard, but I do it. But they be meeting me, they be like, But then when they get to know me, and a lot of times when people, like when they go places with me, and I'm just like, girl, just be yourself, and I in turn, and myself, a lot of times after they are around me for a while, they say, you know what, being around you has really helped me to become comfortable in my skin. Look at Prophetess Beyonce. She done witchcraft that whole song and in the. I'm just playing. She done witchcraft it so much. It's true, damn it. No. Oh, but they become comfortable in their skin. They become and I like to hang around people who are comfortable. So I like when we have a conversation and there are with 4 people and there are 4 different unique points of views that bring value to one another, and we all realize we can coexist in this space together.
Can
I like those moments.
Can I point out something again? We've been reading these stories our whole lives in the Bible. We've been reading them our whole lives. But the one thing that people don't consider is how insane the people in the Bible were when they followed God.
Come on.
God in the fullness of who he created them to be, and in the full purpose of that he put in front of them. They were crazy. They were outcasts. They did not have too many friends. Right. And so a big part of your mission and your call is not to fit in. It is to stand out. It is to be attractive. It is to be odd. And so when you're talking about answering any call that God has placed inside of you, you have to lean into that on a daily basis. And it's in the little things. When the Spirit speaks to you and tells you to put on that outfit, when the Spirit speaks to you and tells you to go there instead of that other place, when the Spirit speaks to you and says, have that diet instead of that diet, when the Spirit speaks to you and says, say hi to every single person that you meet that day. And you may look really weird. You may look really crazy, but Spirit said, say hello. Spirit said, speak. Then you... it's going to cause you to not fit in and be like everybody else. And so when you, again, we have this really super religious view of the call and the mission and how to execute it. When in all reality, it's about leaning into your individuality every single day to create opportunities for spirit to be exchanged between you and another.
Now, I know this is off topic, but when you got to talking about people following God and being their true, authentic selves, I couldn't help but think about bisexual as David, King David. You think if they ever rewrote the Bible that they'd actually have him and Jonathan come out the closet?
You know, I think that can be in your version. You're right.
Definitely. You know, because I get in arguments with people because I'm like, you're not gonna tell me they did everything they did and somebody wasn't doing the bending. But
they were in the woods for long nights and days.
Right. Somebody was doing the bending. So we're covering a lot tonight, and I just want to kind of conclude with this: recognition versus acceptance. Okay. Recognition versus acceptance. Kwame, can we get that last?
I got you.
Oh, yes.
It's that other R.
It's the other R word.
It's the other R.
My God. Versus acceptance.
That's like wait. That's in church when they read that scripture. They say, let the church say reputation. Say it. Reputation. Pastor, that's not what that says. That's
not what it says.
Who typed your notes?
Right.
Okay, but go ahead.
But before we do that, I actually want to say, Kyrie, I would get in trouble about that scripture because that's something I could never explain. David said that Jonathan's love to him was more wonderful, more excellent than that of a woman. And that just was something I was never able to explain. But that may have to be a show. We may have to go ahead on and tap on that. But
could it be because it says that a friend sticketh closer than a brother? And it says that David and Jonathan were the closest of friends. Your friend has your heart in a way that you don't know.
Why would you compare the two? So, being that I have been with both the women's, I've had the sex of the women's and the sex of the men's. You have had two. Oh my God, we're twins.
I know, but I was just explaining this to someone. I was like, you don't know love and friendship and like those worlds colliding until you've been with a woman as a woman and with a man as a man. And you don't really know it.
Right,
and when you've experienced it, I don't give a damn who pick it and what. I ain't giving shit up.
Right.
I love her.
Right.
Good.
I have to say, you don't compare the two.
No.
So I have some male friends that I would never cross those lines with. They're heterosexual. It just doesn't, But the men that I've been there with, I can compare them sexually to all of the partners that I've had in my life. Same with the women, And so I think that statement alone lets us know something was going on. Something's going on.
I'm with you. I'm flowing with you. I just had to argue with you for a second.
Just for a minute.
I had to.
All right. So we're talking about resignation. Recognition. I'm just playing. Resignation versus
reoccurrence.
We're
are
having
those glasses? Are those just for looks, or the actual prescription?
Well, these are actual prescription. Now I do have lots that are just for looks. But earlier in the show, I was on here thugging it out without them. Did you see me? I did pretty good, though. I did pretty good.
You read better without them. You might want to
take them on. Okay. Resignation means you've decided that there's nothing you can do about your situation. Resignation is followed by helplessness, right? Acceptance means accepting the situation happened or exists. That opens you up to choices. Okay. And I'm going to say, in my life, I have experienced both of these. Feeling helpless or feeling like there's nothing I can do. Or I'm gonna add, there's nothing I can do but pray and just wait for one day that something's gonna break. Hallelujah. Like just waiting for that moment to happen. It really caused a resignation, a feeling of helplessness in my life. There's nothing I can do about this. This is my thorn in the flesh. This is my Achilles heel, right? The minute I accept it, okay, this is what it is, right? Like you said, I don't give a damn who pickets what. I don't care how much oil you rub on your hand and put on my head, right?
Stain my clothes.
Right. I don't care how many Hayaboshadas you say over me, right? This is what it is. So this happened. This is what it is, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to move on. When I did that, I was able really to position myself to grow and to move in different areas. What is your take on this one, when you see this?
Well, my thing is, and let me say this, I am not perfect at this. I'm not perfect at it. I still get into that mindset first of, why don't they like me?
Okay.
That is still the first go-to because I'm programmed that way. But I get over it a lot faster. And what comes to my mind is, you're not my people. And so again, scriptures we've heard our whole lives. My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. Right. And then understanding that Jesus had an assignment. He had people that was assigned to him, and he was very clear. If you know my Father, you good with me, you already know who I am. I ain't got to break nothing down to you. And if I'm going left, you're going to go left because you connected. And so even in my everyday life, I start out with, why don't you like me? And I quickly move to, you're not my people, because whoever I am assigned to touch, whoever I am assigned to connect with for whatever bigger purpose, they will connect with me. Just me being who I am. And so the bigger picture of ministry outside of the pulpit and the walls is, if I am just being and moving through this world in the truth of who I am, who is for me will be for me, and I don't have to convince you of anything. And so that idea of resigning, that happens a lot less, because at the end of the day, I don't have to give up on anything. and feel like there aren't any options for myself, because I'm going to lean into who I am, and who I am is going to open those doors and is going to put me in the relationship with the correct people, just because I decided to be me.
Right.
That was enough.
So I like how you are being transparent, because we all struggle with the why don't they like me? But the key is not to allow that to stall you out. You may stutter, but I'm not gonna stall out. I'm like I'm gonna keep rolling on. I'm gonna keep on going up the hill, because on some level, you do want to be accepted, but you have to become okay with not being accepted and not being liked, especially in shared spaces. Or like you say, when you're sharing spaces with people who are not a part of your tribe or your unit, who are not a part of your crew, they don't roll with you. You have people that are on the roll, and some people that roll with you. Some people are on the roll, them, their name, right? But Absolutely. They won't roll with you. And I like this. I like this conversation.
Absolutely. And think about Jonah. Right? And this is not Bible study tonight, but I'm just saying, we've been here.
But he's in here. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
But think about Jonah. Everybody always looks at his disobedience. Jonah was disobedient. He was disobedient. But in all actuality, he just wasn't comfortable in his own skin. And he wasn't comfortable with the mission that God placed inside of him. So he wasn't leaning into his person. He wasn't leaning into his being. Right? He didn't believe that who he was enough to get the job done. Right? And so he had to go through his hell just to learn to lean into himself and follow the Spirit. And so if we think back in our lives and existence and how many experiences we had where we just didn't lean into ourselves and we missed out, or we didn't lean into ourselves and someone else missed out because I wasn't fully present in my being. And so I couldn't fully connect with someone else so that way they could get their breakthrough, right? If we think about all of those instances, then we can finally allow Spirit to spit us out of the well, and we can move forward with the sense of who we are, right?
Spit it out.
So just remember that who you are is enough. And if you, again, say yes to everything that the Spirit guides you to do, you will have the fullness of the life that you were supposed to have.
I love
and
it.
You will have the whole person that you are supposed to have every day.
I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. I feel like somebody is going to hear this and their life is definitely going to be enriched. If you're watching this and you feel like you have been enriched or enlightened on any level, please don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel. Manon, to put a bow on this and to kind of conclude all of this, self-acceptance. I just want, before you go, because she's going to tear this up, I just want y'all to know. Manon's going to put a foot in this. But I just want everybody listening to this to know this. And people think I just say this as blanket statements, but this is so true. You are so dope, whoever you are. You are so dope. The problem is, a lot of times, we are revealing our dopeness to people who were not wired to comprehend what we're doing. And this is why we're frustrated. This is why we stall out. This is why we spin our wheels and get nowhere. You are absolutely dope. Thank you, Uncle Kai. You are absolutely dope. Manon, to kind of put a bow on this and to conclude all of this, I'm all about lists. I love me a list. Can you give us just 3 things that we can do to move our life into the realm of self-acceptance and self-love?
Man, first off, I want to give a shout out to my girl. She just graduated from Webster University with a bachelor's.
Yeah.
And just kind of using her as an example for this conversation, and just me reflecting on her experience along with mine. 3 things that you can do to help yourself move forward. Number 1, challenge yourself. Was that your thought or somebody else's? Where did you even get that from? Also, shut off the voices that don't speak to who you see yourself being in a positive light, right? Especially in our Black community, we give a lot of negative labels to things.
Yeah.
We have a lot of negativity that pours in because that's our mama, that's our daddy, that's grandmama and them. You know, that, well, that's my big sis, so she can cuss me out and talk about me like that. No. If you're pouring negativity into me, then I'm holding that. I'm becoming a dumpster, and I don't need to do that. And so that is interfering with my ability to be my full self in a positive way. And so shutting off those voices. The other thing that you can do is take the time to really sit back again and think about that kid. Think about that kid that you were when you were just being free and in your skin. Whatever that kid was. And if you didn't get that experience because you had a hard childhood, as some of us did have, then go back and think about the kid that you wish you could have been. Because that is where you're going to find your freedom, is in that person. Before everybody started to edit you, before everybody started to dump their shit onto you, that person is the one that's going to free you up. And I know you asked for 3, but one other thing is what God says about you is true.
I love it.
What God says about you is true. Everything else is an absolute lie. And so if you still can't find the positivity within your own mind, lean into what God said about you, because you are his child. You are made in his image, and he or she, however you acknowledge God, is going to give you the full picture of who you are above everything else.
I love it. I love it. I don't want to open this can of worms, but I'm gonna just tap on it. I love your verbiage. What God says about you is true, not religion, not a religious organization. And this deconstructing is happening in all religious sectors. It's Islam, Hinduism, all religious sectors. This deconstruction is happening because we're getting back to what I believe God is more concerned with, and that's the humanity of it. The humanity of it all. But okay, I love this conversation. Manal, how can the people follow you on social media?
Oh man, follow me under Bay Windows on YouTube and on Instagram, and Manal Bay on Facebook.
Yes, God. You can contact me and connect with me on all social media platforms, WaltB Connection. Don't forget to click the like button, those of you that are watching. And then if you're watching the replay, make a comment and click the like button. Share this video. Share this video. Real quick, I want to teach you all something. When you're watching a video and you see those scissors under the video, the minute you see something you like, you click that scissor button, and now you're able to share a clip to your social media. So you don't have to share the whole video. You can just share the clip of what you liked to your social media, and it will provide a link for your followers to be able to come back here and watch this. And then you never know, they may hear something else that will enrich them as well. Each one, reach one. Thank you all for tuning in. And we're going to give it back to you, Kwame. Take us away.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyromedianetwork's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit Pyromedianetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. help us keep igniting brands everywhere.